Yes, sir. Yeah.
Just a
Yeah.
minute. I'll just take a second's time. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening to
Good evening,
the
sir.
first live session of the second run of Python course. The first run had a different batch. Now the second run has some new people. Welcome as it always. I'm sure you are enjoying the videos, although it's at the very beginner's level. Very soon you will start seeing something more concrete. Okay. Some of you are even finding it a little weird and boring because you know it already. On one side, on the other side, there are people who do not know anything about programming. Probably you're finding it difficult to cope up with. But with time, I'm assuring you that with the instructors by the side and all the help that you're going to get from the videos, from the whatever teaching material uploaded, and these live sessions, you'll be able to do well. Okay, this live session, I thought I will show you people something hands-on, but then only recently I sort of gathered that I spoke to Karthik and I realized that you people are new into the trimester, meaning just less than a week's time has passed. So we will take our own time and try to see how we can pace things up with time, but I'll go slow and steady. Tell me, what is it that you would like to know for this session? Of course, you will have your individual expectations. Please talk for the class. Tell me what would be ideal for us to discuss in this session. How are you people finding the videos?
Sir, first, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So
Prapti.
first of all, yes, sir, Prapti. So first of all, we would like to know if we can use any other platform except Replit, because some of us face problem in Replit. It asks for always creating a new folder from the beginning to save a file. So that is not convenient at all.
Got your question. The answer is pretty simple. We don't enforce any portal. Karthik, please intervene and correct me anytime during our live session. We don't enforce any portal. Feel free to use whatever you want. In fact, you will observe that I am
just a suggestion, like which application would be better for Python?
I am a bad person actually to give you that suggestion. I'll tell you why. Because I personally love a raw editor with terminal, command line interface and things like that. But if you ask me for a beginner, what is ideal, I would say Replit for the first 1 week. If you are having problems, immediately move to Spider. Install Anaconda and move to Spider. This is a tip for all of you. So Prapti is asking a question for on all your behalf, and I would like to answer all of you that Spider is a good option. It's quite robust, doesn't have a steep learning curve, you can just install and then start using it. It matters less what you're using. It's more about coding in some environment. All of them will have one problem or the other. With time, you will realize that it'll get
Yes, sir, yeah.
hung, or you will have other sorts of problems. You may not like the interface, but as and always, nothing like a simple, keep it as simple as possible when in doubt. Okay, it shouldn't matter much, by the way. I use a simple Vim editor. Vim editor is the very old 40, if I'm not wrong, 30, 35-year-old editor, and it's raw and nice on the mind. So yeah, so it's left to you basically. Okay, but I would recommend.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Spider. We are using Spider. Prapti, it's okay. So your question is now asked, and we are addressing. Follow-up questions I will take. I'm following up with a question. I'm continuing with a question. We are using Spider from second week onwards. I moved to Spider. I know the problems with Replit. So it is not for heavy duty long code and stuff like that. For that, we may have to use a premium version and things like that. So which is not sort of feasible. So I'm switching to Spider. Okay. All of you may please switch to Spider. SPYDER is the spelling of Spider, but no hard and fast rule. Please eventually shift to a place which you feel comfortable. All these editors are like cushion. It doesn't matter what kind of cushion you use as long as you're comfortable. Okay. Yeah, we'll go ahead with more questions. Go on, please. Let's make it a FAQ like session to begin with, and I'll decide on a topic and then discuss based on the pulse of you people. Okay, go on.
Sir, hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, my doubt is, can we discuss on string slicing?
Can we discuss on string slicing?
My doubt is on that.
Okay, so this session will be dedicated to FAQ number 1 and a particular exercise which I may think is useful for you people. I may explain. So particular requests you can raise to the instructors and they'll help you people out. Okay. By the way, but given that you have asked about slicing is a very straightforward and easy idea. Don't break your head much beyond what we discussed in the course. Have we discussed that in the first week? Tilwani, have we discussed slicing in the first week?
Actually, we have discussed with our mentors, course mentors, but still I was facing some issues.
No. In the first week, does the syllabus mention slicing, Karthik? Karthik, if you can intervene.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah. We have, I think in the videos also it is there. So
videos also it is there. So which means it's part of the syllabus. Please feel free to ask your share of questions and we will be able to answer them. But yeah, so again, I think as part of my discussion with you people today, I'm going to tell you more about what you should be concentrating on, what you should be worrying on, what you should not be worrying on much. Okay. So Karthik, what do we do? Do we take the slicing question right now or keep it at the end? You want to address it?
We can keep it at the end, sir, because No,
I want to have a session. This is more of an introductory session with all you people, getting to know you, your problems, your feedback about the first week's content and things like that. Let's not get way too technical here. Okay. All right. So a few tips, which I think I have given already in my videos. I would like to reiterate. Firstly, I think majority of the students who enter a first course in programming, I'm sure there are many people who are experienced also, and you will second what I'm saying for sure, that programming does not come with strategies. It comes with practice. Programming is just like learning a new language. If I want to read Bengali literature, I should first learn Bengali, and it comes with a learning curve. And the learning curve is just in a matter of talking and talking. Reading and reading, so on and so forth. I cannot expect to burn midnight oil for the next 1 week and learn Bengali. It will take its own time. So my yardstick that I have observed in my little experience of teaching programming for students from as long as, let's say, a couple of decades, roughly maybe from 2003, I've been teaching various programming languages in bits and pieces. What I've observed is, unless you do 200 hours of programming, you should claim you don't know anything about programming. You should simply sit and code. Okay. But then the question would be, there are so many things to learn about Python. I don't know the syntax. I keep looking up stuff, etc., etc. That's the reason why we ask you to do this 200 hours of programming. In 200 hours, that looking up, etc., what you remember, what you don't remember, all of that will come to, it will converge. You will know the bare minimums in your memory. and the bare essentials in your memory, and the rest will be, you can look up. There's nothing wrong. I look up even, if I want to use a complicated version of print statement or complicated option in print statement, I till date look up. There's nothing wrong in looking up. You always have help ready. Nobody will ask you to code without a cheat sheet or help. All right. So summarizing what I'm saying, 200 hours of coding, number one. Number two is more important than one, according to me. Okay. Going by what the world says about programming, I think you should avoid that at least until you finish this course, especially those who are taking up programming for the first time in their life, those who are trying to program for the first time. You would have done somewhere in your school days some simple 3-line code and things like that, but that doesn't count. You're still a fresher then. If you have not written a 1,000-line code, then you have not introduced your mind to programming. You're a fresher. What you should do is, yes, 200 hours of coding. Second tip, most important tip is, please do not listen to a lot of worldly tips. At least as a course instructor, course professor, I'm requesting you, there's a lot of strategies, tips out there, which mostly can be misleading. I'll give you one such tip. You must code fast. You must think of competitive coding, etc., etc. For me, at least, coding is pastime. Coding is fun. Coding is like taking a walk in a scenic park. Okay, I don't want to quickly run the place blindfolded and then come back. The motive should not be to finish the walk at the earliest. The motive should be to enjoy the walk, at least to begin with. Maybe I can participate in fast walking in Olympics or sprinting in Olympics, whatever. But as of now, I am a beginner. I want to enjoy at my best. And Python is one subject that I don't think any other subject comes very close to someone enjoying this much. It's a world of possibilities put onto your desktop. Right? So please don't waste your time worrying so much about how to learn it the best. The only way out is take a lot of questions and try answering them. Okay. First tip is 200 hours. Second tip is don't heed to others' advice. Maybe you can heed to others' advice after the course, but during the course, please listen to me. You have to cover whatever we teach you. Mainly, I would like to see 3 parts being covered, which I'll illustrate in a while. You have to just finish that. And 200 hours of coding, not heeding to other kinds of advice, part 2, and not very much about coding fast or competitive coding like tips and things like that. I strongly suggest at this level, you should not do it. I'm not saying nobody should participate in Olympics. I'm only saying when you're starting to walk from all this while you were crawling, you're starting to walk right now, you should not think of Olympics at this time. Okay, so getting a good hold in the subject is more important, and there are things that are beautiful in programming. I want you all to enjoy and relish your experience, not be bogged down by competition. Okay, this is my second tip. And third tip is, although I said first tip is 200 hours of coding, you might ask me what kind of code should we write. Okay, varieties, as much as take up a puzzle and see if you can write a piece of code for it. Okay, but then there's another tip that seldom is spoken, which comes in very handy in my observation of many students, is to write a piece of code for a problem multiple times. What do I mean by that? You take up a question, a simple question. Can you all raise your hand? Does it make sense if I say printing stars, 1 plus per line, 1 line in the first, 1 star in the first line, 2 in the second line, 3 in the third line, so on and so forth? How many of you know of this program that we discuss? Very simple, silly, so I would even say waste of time program. Okay, so how many of you know of it? All right. Now, the point is not to simply see how I code and then code it. The point is to understand what is the expected input, what is the expected output when a given input is given, and then repeatedly do it by deleting it. At least twice or thrice you must repeat the code. This is a very simple code, not a good example to start with, but in the first week, we only discussed something as simple as this. Okay. You probably should do the same seemingly medium level code multiple times. Only then will you learn. Otherwise, you will just be copying what we are doing. Another frequently committed mistake by many people is looking at someone's code and understanding logic. Please and please avoid this. This is very dangerous. It's even disastrous. Do not look into anybody's code, including mine. When I'm coding, all right, see, I talk aloud when I'm coding. You can also code along with me. I keep saying that, but then After the code is written, delete the code. Do not oversee the code. Code is a translation of your understanding of the problem into the programming language syntax. Don't try to sort of reverse engineer it. You can if you want, but it will be futile at this stage. You must learn how to think logically, and trust me, it only comes by practice. It's like no matter how many books you read about driving, you have to hold the steering and start driving and drive for some 1,000 kilometers. Also, there's a very weird tip that people give when you learn spoken languages. They say, unless you fight in the language, you will not learn the language. This is very true of programming too. Unless you take up a sort of a real life situation and only by coding, you will make sense out of it. Unless you do it, you will not realize the importance of, you will not gain the skills of the language. So you must fight using Python, and your opponent should be puzzles, questions, open problems that you can pick and then work. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's very easy to learn Python. Please don't complicate it by taking a lot of unsolicited tips and advices from many sources. Okay, I think I have the right to tell you this because this is the course and it's my responsibility to ensure that all of you learn and go out in flying colors. At the end of this course, all that I expect from all of you is confidence in programming. And people who are already experts in programming, you will see that you need to sharpen your expertise possibly. And we'll see if we can help you do that. Okay, so all your hands down except for people who have questions. With these tips, I think I'll move forward. I have more tips coming up, but I'll take some questions before going ahead. Yeah, so raise your hands down in case you don't have any question. Okay, only if you have question, raise your hand. I'll go one by one. Pratyush Singh, please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Sir, I am just sir working profession and I am work in .NET. So Python is the new language for me. So according to you, how much time I gonna devote in this language if I want to mastery in Python?
Yeah, I made it very clear. If you want to master a language, whether you're new to language or learning programming for the first time, you need roughly in the order of 150 to 200 hours. You have to put forth that much of effort. It's not true for all subjects. Let's say if you take up a typical math subject, you only need to cover what is being told there. But here you may have to practice, right? This is not like filling you with ideas and concepts. This is a skill that you learn. This is like ball juggling. You get better with practice. This is like, bow staff rotating. You only get better with practice. This is like a martial art move that you should practice quite a bit. So please practice. Python is very, very, very different from .NET. All right. At least in my humble opinion, it requires a fresh start. And you may have to unlearn a few things from .NET to learn Python. Okay. Now, this is my personal opinion. I may be wrong here. Anybody can challenge me saying, no, you're wrong. I may even stand corrected. But in my humble opinion, any other language, if you have learned, Python is slightly a different ball game. In fact, much, much easier than any other language. But what it has to offer is very different. For instance, you'll get tons and tons of APIs online on Python. A good skill is to understand how to use them. Every second Git repository is a Python repository. Right, so you may have to know how to use them, and by looking at it, you can stand on top of it and write your own function calls. Right, so that comes with practice. I strongly suggest that experts around also, if you don't know Python, you may have to invest good amount of time in it, because I think, again, Karthik, correct me, I think your whole BSc course, let's say BSc in data sciences, if that's what you're aiming at, will involve Python. All your ML courses will be taught using Python only, right? At least from the best of what I know from the professors who are teaching the subject, it will be Python only. All right. So please ensure that you give your due time for the language and learn it thoroughly. Okay. Yeah. Next question, Anwar.
Good evening, sir.
Anwar, please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Vaibhav, I'll come to you. Vaibhav Kumar, I'll come to you. Just give me a minute. Anwar, please go ahead.
Yeah, yes, sir. I'm also a working professional, and but I'm 45 plus now. I just joined for this course for the sake of interest.
Very nice.
I wanted to refresh myself because last 20-25 years I was completely out of academics. Okay. So this I found it quite good, and The only problem I'm actually facing is all these graded assignments and all I have finished except for the last one. So when it comes to basically slightly out of the way, we would need to basically blank our mind and think. So that is where I am really facing. I am facing the same issue with statistics and maths also. Like when it slightly goes out of the way. So we at our mind framework, we are not able to basically come out of the real-time world so quickly and concentrate only on this. So how to basically crack such?
Very good, Anwar. Very good question. I think I should address it, and most of what you asked holds good even for a fresher. But yes, for a senior person, it's a different ball game altogether. But there's a good news. Again, in my observation, the good news is that every single person thinks differently. Right? I mean, and we need all types of people in an ecosystem. As it always goes, I keep quoting this in every single talk of mine. Society comprises of all types of people. If you say we only need optimists who can build aircrafts, you're losing out on pessimists who will build parachutes. Right? Similarly, the talent that X gets, Y may not be able to get. Doesn't mean Y is bad. Y is good in a very different way. Right? I have observed in my little experience as a teacher that seniors who get into programming have a knack for programming in a different sense. They're sort of differently abled, right? So with their experience, they're able to see things that, let's say a fresher cannot see. Okay. That said, unfortunately, we have a one size fits all exam pattern for all of you, right? I personally think, and me and Karthik will together work towards this, that we will not emphasize a lot on memory based learning or learning that is competence based. We'll only work on skill based learning. All right. If you're able to learn whatever we teach in the videos, if you're able to solve the questions that we pose, come to the live sessions, which is very important because in the live sessions, you understand sort of the psychology of the instructor and the professor and things like that. You should be able to do really well in the exam. And also, we don't want exam to be the be of all, end of all. Exam is just an end point where we check, did everything go on well? Everything is more important than did everything go on well, check at the end. So you need not worry about it much is what I say. But in a nutshell, long story short, experienced people bring different set of a skill set to the table, be it in your work environment, be it as a project personnel, or be it as a peer for, let's say, this BSc degree. A. B is, given that you're senior, you have a different ability to see things which, let's say, a fresher will not be able to see. A good thing is for seniors and juniors to sit together and then learn, have a peer group, and then have interactions, which I think the other batch did. Your senior batch did that. In fact, extensively is what I heard. They used to discuss for hours together with different types of people, and people who had good prowess in the language would explain it to the beginners and things like that. Maybe you can also have a sort of a club like that, and then keep practicing. That is B. And I think C would be, goes without saying, it's always 200 hours of practice. Anybody I run this course called The Joy of Computing on NPTEL. I have observed people of all age groups come there, and then they write to me by saying that 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds starting off with programming, and they say that they see a point in why one should learn programming at all ages. Right. So from 80-year-old to 60-year-olds, and even beyond for that matter, I don't think it is difficult. We don't need an extra muscle or an extra brain region to learn programming. It all comes with practice, and this 200-hour rule holds good for everyone. But one tip that I can give you all, a mega tip, is something that probably is never given to anyone, is you should learn typing. If you want to be good at programming, trust me, nobody even realizes it unless they know typing, fast typing. That 8-finger typing makes a world of a difference than 2-finger typing, for the following reason: that 2-finger, firstly, you watch the keyboard and then you type. You cannot watch the monitor. 8-finger typists are sort of, they're in a positive way blind. They will not see the keyboard at all. They keep their fingers on the keyboard and then start typing, which means they can attempt many things without straining their eyes, head, or body. As opposed to, let's say, 2-finger typists. A very good tip is, please, there are so many softwares out there online, please learn typing. If you learn typing, that 200 hours actually becomes 50 hours. Again, in my observation, right? So please do that. These tips can sound very obvious, but will go a long way in helping you guys. All right, Vaibhav, please go ahead. Vaibhav Kumar Mishra, next question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I am a second year BTech student and I'm a basically fresher into the programming and all.
Which
Sir,
subject, which topic? BTech in?
sir, I am doing my bachelor's in electronics and communication engineering.
Excellent.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, my question, I don't know if it's a good one or not, but
Go
I
ahead,
would like
please
to ask.
post. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll address it.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have the simple question that will we be able to solve questions from sites like Geeks for Geeks, Lead Code, etc. after the course is complete? Or so what should my approach like? You just mentioned a lot about that, but all of us. But sir,
I know where you're getting. Vaibhav, let me address. I got the question completely. Correct me at the end of the question in case you think I still don't get your question. Your question is, how do I check whether I have completely learned what I'm supposed to learn? Will I be able to participate on Geeks for Geeks, or go to Hacker Rank and get myself a badge, etc., etc. Now the point is, these are all one way. So how do I put it? So let me give you an example. You can be a certified martial artist, okay, or you can learn the bare minimum for self defense, okay, or you can do a PhD in martial arts without even worrying about a black belt. All right. In all this, my question has always been, why do we even worry about Geeks for Geeks or Hacker Rank or XYZ, right? Ideally, do we have such things for English language? Do we have belts for English language? Do we have belts for taking care of, let's say, a newborn? Actually, we don't. Programming is yet another skill. And when you are taking up programming as part of BSc degree in programming and data sciences, trust me, the depth is very, very high. Okay, you will not see this depth anywhere in the world, because they cannot see one size fits all doesn't fit in a typical course like this. This course is more depth than breadth. It is not simply 100, 200 programming questions that you will be learning in BSc. Although the word programming is slightly misguiding there, but the word data science sort of compensates for it. You must think like a data scientist. You must understand how to make sense out of data, infer things, and see real world data and say, I have an idea, I think I can pursue. That skill comes with time. Do not break your head much about all these portals. All right, do it when time comes. If you have to face placements, then you go there, show your skill, learn a few things and go ahead. But I see, again, in my observation, many students, even I teach at an IIT. Even our IIT students, they lose out on the most important skill sets in the hurry to only worry about meeting the requirements of placements, jobs, and things like that. Here, this is the beginning of your BSc degree. I believe this is the first trimester or maybe the second trimester. I don't know. You're in the bare beginnings of your degree. You all must. No, Vaibhav, I'm not addressing you. This is a question that many people have in their mind, and you're representing it, and I'm addressing it to all of them, right? You must simply concentrate on learning how to code confidently. If Geeks for Geeks helps you, please go ahead and then do it. But in my humble opinion, what helps is going sequentially from one end to the other, taking a lot of questions and confidently answering them with increasing degree of difficulty, step by step. 200 hours of coding. Coding the same question multiple times. These are all skills that goes without saying, but is never given as tip. Okay, so you will have so many questions about this portal, that portal. Trust me, you will just be wasting your time without learning the basics of Python if you move ahead and then do these things. English language, I did not go to Geeks for English. Right, so we all learned it the fun way. Keep reading, keep talking, and the language becomes yours. Okay, try doing that is my humble suggestion. Beyond that, you see what works for you. What works for me may not work for you. But I am talking with empiricism in my mind. I have seen many students do this, do that. I've only seen the ones who come out successfully, well, reasonably successful. And if I date back and see what they did, it is 200 hours of programming. They would have done very big projects. Only then they would have prowess in programming. Okay, good. So let's go to the next question. I hope I answered your question, Vaibhav.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome. Next question.
Good evening, sir.
No, there are some hands raised here. Let me go one by one. Anwar, maybe you can put your hands down. Vaibhav can put his hands down. Muthukrishnan, please go ahead. And Sushma, please raise your hand just so that we can put you in queue and then reach you.
Okay.
Muthukrishnan, no. Vaibhav, you can put your hand down. Shivans
Good evening,
Pandey.
sir.
Good evening, Shivans. Please go ahead.
Sir, I actually had two questions.
Go
Sir,
ahead.
my first question was, a few years ago, I had studied basic Python, not at the level that you are, not at the level many of my fellow peers are, but basic Python. Recently, I tried to learn another language, C, and I found that I've started forgetting things like input statement and all from Python. So how can I avoid this? If I've learned a language before and I start to learn a language, say 5-6 years from now, how can I avoid forgetting what I've learned beforehand?
Okay, good point. I have to quote an example. I may not be completely right here, but see the example as an example. After your MBBS degree, I'm not an MBBS, so I may not know much about it. But after you finish becoming sort of a doctor, finish your PG diploma or whatever in some specialization. If you sit idle for 1 year, at the end of 1 year, you cannot go and start opening your clinic and then start treating patients. It's not allowed. If you take a long break, you must practice with someone with experience for some time. And after that only, you're allowed to practice independently. Why do they make this rule? Firstly, it's for one's own experience. Secondly, in the eyes of law, you are not experienced once you give a long gap of practice, even despite you having a specialized degree in medicine. Similarly, in programming also, stopping to program even for 1 month, if I leave my touch with coding, I keep teaching. Basically, I'm not involved in any mega project, but I keep doing here and there, little bit, bits and pieces. Let's say projects of our students, I take a look at the code and stuff like that. May not be at a very large scale, but still, even 1 month's gap is too much for me to get back to my normalcy. That skill set is all gone. Most of it should be looked up. I'm uncomfortable. I am only half as efficient as what I would be 1 month before. And if it's 2 months, it becomes quarter as efficient. I don't know if it's a half-life decay there, but then the decay is really significant, right? So toggling between the languages, at least at this stage, okay, will tax you people. And I understand your question. What you underwent was very normal. Don't worry at all. But right now, for this program, you people should concentrate on Python. But once you learn the tricks of the trade of logical thinking, switching between languages is not at all difficult, at least the programming languages. Language in general can be difficult, spoken languages, but programming languages, you only need to understand the following few parameters: variable declaration, looping structures, how to use functions, how to handle files, and over and beyond that, all the concepts of OOPs and APIs and etc. Is not very important. You can always look it up, or you can handle without using them if the project is small and things like that. So don't break your head. All you must do right now is, I can only guide you based on the career choice that you have made, which is BSc at IIT Madras in programming and data sciences for this particular course, or any other deviation from the norm. You have some diploma route, application route, etc. For all that, Python is very important. And I repeat, the magic number is 200. You have to do it. If you don't do it, you will be in trouble. If you do it, you will see a gala ride. You will not face any difficulty, be it any course. Every other course will be programming intensive, if I'm not wrong. Okay, and you'll get to know what is programming in a way that it becomes a skill. It becomes a muscle memory for you. Sometimes we don't even know how we use the brush. We know how to brush, but try using the other hand. Firstly, you have never tried it. You cannot brush in the other hand. All right. And secondly, you get confused because you have trained all your brain to use your right hand and not the left hand. Right. So it becomes a muscle memory. Make it a muscle memory and don't break your head much beyond this. 200 hours is the magic formula. Okay. Yeah, we'll go ahead with the next question. Shivans Pandey. Done?
Yes, sir. There was one more question.
Sure.
Sir, I already had the vanilla Python, ideally 3.9 installed. So will it be enough for this course, or
No,
do I
don't
need to
worry.
switch?
Try. If it's not enough, you install something else. But I suggest that if you have a decent system, use this release distribution called Anaconda. When you download Anaconda, it has everything in it. It has a nice Python shell where you can type and then use it like a calculator. You can use Spider. You can use, there are various other facilities that is easier on a beginner's mind. Okay, with time you will realize. As and always, please Google, please watch YouTube videos and see what you're comfortable with and then use it. But with exam related matters, I think the instructors will give you tips on what to use, how to use, the test cases for your assignments and things like that. Right, Karthik? Karthik will handle that. So all my tip you should take with a pinch of salt, and they can be preceded by what the instructors will tell you. But don't, at this moment, don't break your head much about IDEs and all. I would say if you're comfortable with Replit, please continue there. That stops you from worrying about your system requirements, that, this, and all that. Everything is covered there because it's web-based, cloud-based, right? Okay, Kushaga Tripathi.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, welcome, Shivansh.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, sir. I have two questions. First question is, where is Python used? As in, I have heard C++ and Java is used in industries, and open source projects are mostly in those languages. And the second question is, what I can do after this course in Python? What I can do in active learning.
Important FAQs, and all of you kindly listen to this tip with both your ears, because this is the most confusing question for all the youngsters. I have heard language ABC is used. Why am I taught language D is a frequently occurring question for many students. Okay. When I did my bachelor's back in the 90s, late 90s, okay, people said, hey, dude, you are using C, you must be using Pascal. And then a few years later, they said, why are you using Pascal? The world has gotten over it long back. Okay. And when we were using C, people said, you should, promote yourself onto C++ or Java. Why are you using C? All right. And then after that came Python. In between somewhere was MATLAB. Right. People said that MATLAB saves a lot of your time. If you're doing your work for scientific reasons, you should use MATLAB and stuff like that. This is all need dependent. There is no one size fits all here. We do not know where you will be working tomorrow, where I will be working tomorrow, what we'll be teaching tomorrow. The reason why Python is taught is, with time, it is observed that programming has become more and more intense, but easy on the minds. If you see COBOL as a language, we used to type several lines of code to simply calculate simple interest. It required so much. But now in Python, boom, on the shell, you can go and then define a function and you're done. Right? So it is very advanced. Python especially is made with the programmer's mind, programmer psychology kept in mind. And over and beyond this, it is one, I'll give you a good illustration to answer this question. Why Python? There's no necessarily one answer for it. Python seems to be easily explainable, teachable by the teachers, and heavily used, extensively used. Okay. And second reason is, I will give you an offer. I'll give you two phones, equally good. Okay. One phone is sold in large numbers. Both are equally good, mind you. One is sold in large numbers. Other one is just out in the market. Which one will you prefer? Otherwise, exactly the same. Which one will you prefer? Obviously, you will prefer the one which sells in large numbers. Why? It is time tested, number tested. They would have understood in and out of this model. How does it sync with different components and what kind of software glitches did we face and things like that. If you buy a brand new phone out in the market, they're yet to, they keep asking, right? Updates. Yes. Battery gets heated up, battery replace karo, right? Or there's some problem with the screen, do this, here are the fixes, etc., right? So you have tons of issues with new stuff. Python has withstood both the test of time and test of numbers. You can say so is C, but then if I want to look up some cooking related Python scripts, there are such scripts, by the way. Okay. You will not find it for other languages, in my, again, humble observation. Python, given that it is open source, you have many people. You think of it, they have a software for it. You think of it, there's a software for it. I have a 7-year-old in my home, my son, and I was trying to see whether I can come out with a small code to help him learn arithmetic multiplication easily, the fun way. And I see on GitHub, there are tons and tons of code written already. I just take it and then, sort of reuse it. That's the advantage of Python, test of time and numbers. By that, I'm not demeaning or I'm not talking low of other languages. For instance, if you're into, website development, let's say, of course, Django helps, but then you would prefer something else. Or sometimes, if you didn't know, till date, there is demand for a very old programming language, simply because many bank servers use it. They have not moved beyond that. Many scripts today use the power distribution in the US, I have heard, still uses C code. Okay, there was once a big mega power cut in US because of a misplaced break statement in C. Anyways, go take a look at Google for it, you will get to know. Anyways, the point is that it depends on what is being used. Today X is there, tomorrow Y will come. But the idea is, if you learn Python properly as a beginner, I think you can learn any other language. Harder or easier, you will understand how to think logically. Okay, I'm only using a bicycle to teach you bicycling. We should not worry about what model of bicycle we are using and things like that, unless it's a unicycle, tricycle, bicycle difference. If I say it's a bicycle, it's all more or less the same. So I suggest that you people please remove this in your mind on what programming language is important, what is not. First, do your 200 magic rules execution, magic numbers execution. After that, divert yourself into many things. You're reminded, I'm reminded of my one of my friends. He was very fond of a subject. What he would do is he simply go and collect a lot of textbooks. His only motive was to collect a lot of textbooks, and then I ultimately not read a thing about the subject. Collect a lot of CD-ROMs about a particular topic or a programming language or etc., and then not do anything about it. So you will end up becoming that. So please be careful. Don't expend your time much on what is the right thing to learn. Can you think logically? Can you take up a question and then convert that to code? That's a skill you must learn. Irrespective of what the question is, what the code you are using, acquire this skill. Concentrate on acquiring this skill. Do not divert your attention and time towards other things. There are so many things to confuse you. Switch on YouTube. I didn't mean to ridicule the videos available online. Some of them are exquisite, but very unlikely you will get the exquisite stuff. You'll only get the monetized stuff. You'll only get coding from people who only code when they're teaching. They don't have any coding experience. They don't even know how to teach coding properly. They're not teachers. They're not into coding extensively. Majority of the videos are from their side. Very few videos actually teach you right content. And tips and tricks also, if they say subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, that's the place where you should escape from immediately. They're using you to, make some bucks by your views. All right, not all are bad. I'm not saying that everybody is bad. There are maybe genuine people, but most of them are misleading. Don't break your head. Learn the skill set. Okay, I request you all to please not make the questions repetitive. I believe we have discussed what language to use. I have learned that, how to proceed, kind of questions. Ask something more innovative and nice so that I am entertained here, apart from you being entertained. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Feel free to ask anything. All right, so Smita Gaurav.
Okay, sir, thank you, sir. I have one more question.
You have one more question? Yeah, make it fast so that others get a chance.
What to do after this course ends so that I'm in touch with Python?
Okay, there's always a sequel for a movie. This is the first movie you're watching. Sequels will come. One of the first sequels is, of course, machine learning. Okay. Before that, a beautiful sequel, which is data structures. Okay. Don't try to learn what is coming in the next semester. Please try to learn what is given in the current semester, because Python is an ocean. You must concentrate on Python and try understanding as much as possible. Equip your muscles and the right skill sets, and you are good to go. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead with Smita Gaurav right now. Smita, Trilok, Mohammed, and Ajay, Sushma, Ashwin in this order. Okay, Smita, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Good evening. Good evening. Actually, I did BTech and after that MTech in electronics communication, but I don't have job experience because of some personal issue. I'm moving here and there, and sometimes on the interior of the interior city, so there is no job opportunities. But I'm looking forward for my job. That's why I think that the course is something beneficial for me, and it's totally from my different background. First time I'm doing programming and going for that. So anything that is the good opportunity for me to get a job from there, or I have to do something else.
Okay, so this is actually an important question, seldom spoken, simply because many of us do not know the answer for it, and there's no one right answer for it. But an important question nevertheless. And I would like to tune into one's common sense here and try to see if we can infer something. Okay. Job market is always a win-win situation. The employer wants something, the employee gives the same thing. A prospective employee gives the same thing. Okay. One thing is to watch the market, see what's in demand, and then try to be inclined towards it. Second thing is to, have your in general skills in place. For instance, computer science. Okay, so this is a quote that I most often quote in my talks. Let me just quote it right now. It makes sense if I say astronomy is not about telescopes. Telescopes are used in astronomy. That's all. Astronomy as a subject has nothing to do with telescopes. It's about inferring what you see, which happens, the phenomena that happens several millions of kilometers away from you, miles and miles away from you, light years away from you, right? Sometimes, of course, telescope can only work up to some level, not beyond a limit. Similarly, computers are a tool for computer science. Computer science stands tall irrespective of computers as a tool. There are some abstract aspects of computing that even people in Mars, if they invent a computer tomorrow, assuming there is life there, or people from some light years away from us, there's another planet Earth dash there, they invent life, they invent computers, the notion of the science of computing will remain the same. I would expect a bachelor's degree student to be thorough with these basics. And I, as a good employer, would see whether a person is trainable or not, and not very much concentrate on how well trained the person is. You may be trained in ABC, but my requirement is D. And assuming that a person is so thick-skinned that and says, I know only ABC, I will not learn D. So as an employer, I would expect that trainability of a person. The trainability of a person is indicative in general mark sheet. Marks is not everything, but performance in a good institute is commensurate with the ability of a person. You go to some place where only there is someone else sets the question paper, someone else answers it, someone else does the second evaluation. That doesn't happen, let's say, in IIT setup. This program especially is a very, very organized program. A lot of hard work, effort happens in the background to ensure that you get quality lessons and quality questions. I would say I have not set question paper at this quality level. If I see my instructors, let's say Karthik send me questions, I see that they're of very good quality. We have hired people, the POD program has hired people to ensure that they only do question paper setting, so that teachers don't, sort of do time and things like that. So to summarize, all I'm saying is that we look at the trainability of the people, assuming I'm role playing as an employer, not very much about what you're trained. Maybe mediocre places look at that. How well I can, clean the glass and stuff like that. Not that it is a menial job. I'm just saying that it's more about trainability than how well trained a person is. I don't think someone like Smita, and I'm sure Smita is trying to articulate a problem that is representative of many people sitting here, right? But I think that's not a problem. If you're good, you will do well. Keep your skills sharpened. I would any day like a confident person trying to answer whatever he knows well. In fact, in the interviews, a good interview goes like this. The interviewer will ask, what do you know? What are you confident on? They will not ask, I like this subject. I'm going to ask you questions on this subject only, and you must answer. Please walk out from such an interview. My little tip.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Smita, I'll just finish. Smita, I'll just finish. This question is more, you're representing many people here. So I'm addressing many people with this question. So all in all, the point is concentrate more on the degree and things will fall in place. I know many people who are very focused about learning their skill sets. Things fall in place for them. as opposed to people who concentrate so much on the end result that they will not enjoy the route and their skill sets are not sharpened. Okay, yeah, Smita, go on.
The basic problem is because of my gap after degree and the gap. That is the basic problem when I'm interviewing for some job, because it's not easy for me to go somewhere place and work there. So I'm trying to do something like work from home type of things. So second thing, I just want to ask, is it possible from the Python and that course, so I can do work from home type of things? Or
No,
I
this
have
is slightly, Smita, please don't mind, slightly outside the scope of our discussion, but still I'll quickly address that. There are all possible jobs today, especially post-COVID. There are some upsides of COVID too. Work from home. In fact, my own PhD students who have graduated, I thought PhD means work from home is an impossibility, but then they are working from home. They're working for some startups in the US and they're working from the comforts of their chair and table of their attic on the top of their house. So I don't think that is difficult. I have a feeling it is we may be prematurely panicking, thinking that what's in store, but I can assure you all, although Smita raised the question, I'll put it under the FAQ and then address it, that I don't think we need to worry much. What we should worry is things that are supposed to worry, in the sense that you should not miss the bus. Yeah. Python this semester, Python should be complete. Data structures next semester, data structures should be complete. ML next semester, we should not worry about data structures this semester and ML the next semester. Okay, when we are there, we should enjoy, develop our skill sets and move ahead. Okay, good. Any more questions? Please feel free to talk to me sometime later. Okay, Trilok. Yeah.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Good morning, sir. I just wanted to ask. Apart from the questions which we get in this semester, practice question as well as the graded questions, I want to hone the skills of Python programming. So can you please suggest a correct place where I can get the questions to practice?
There is no correct place.
Means, as you said, there are many people there are places where they misguide or we get into a different path altogether when we watch.
Yeah, I got a question. Trilok, my suggestion is not to get distracted with these different places, because the current course itself, trust me, we have questions which will challenge all of you here, no matter what is your expertise. And you can also ask me a question which is challenging for me. There are such questions. The course responsibility, in fact, me and Karthik have taken up a small responsibility, although I cannot promise how well we'll execute it. We are trying to pose some 20 challenging questions. And I bet there is no one person here who can answer all of them.
No, sir. I want to practice a program, Python program.
Exactly, I'm addressing that. Please, just give me a couple of minutes. Sometimes I may arrive there a little later. You must be patient. Okay. So this generally happens when you people ask a question. It's a question for the classroom. It should become less of a question from a person's side. I also, when I'm addressing, I don't address the question for the person who has asked the question. It's for the classroom. Anyways, getting back, the point we're trying to make is we will ask questions that are very deep. Sometimes one question can take a lifetime's time to answer. We can include such questions which will sharpen your programming skills. Leave that to us. We will ensure that your programming comes to a stage that makes it easy for you to sail through this semester and post this semester, and the upcoming subjects too, you will cruise through. That's a responsibility. Over and top of that, if you want to do something, we would strongly discourage. I'll tell you a reason for it. The reason is that you have math to learn. You have, several other skills. Statistics is a good skill set. Trust me, do 10% of programming and learn 90% of statistics. It will help you in today's world. The reason why the entire world is struggling with this data sciences is because it's more statistics than programming, right? So I don't think everybody here has mastered math, statistics, and programming, and they want to do more. I suggest just concentrate on developing your basic skills for programming. I would say if you're comfortably able to use looping structures, as I said, file handling and the concept of whoops and things like that, functions. All right. And over and beyond this, you can implement all these things and then make sense out of data. Let's say using pandas, that's the place where you must stop and concentrate on other subjects. Because if we overdo this subject, although it's very interesting to overdo the subject, you will get hurt in other places and one may become retired hurt and a wounded soldier very soon. You will be retiring from the battlefield. So all the battlefield I'm using in a very positive connotation. I suggest the dangers of getting into the depths of only one thing is close to being useless. You should develop a few skills with time. They say you should not lose your weight very quickly. They say you should not start running long distances in the next 1 week. It should happen gradually. Make the graduality happen. Don't work really beyond what is sort of prescribed. Otherwise, I would feel sorry to see my students lose out. Whatever question our friend asked was representative of many people's problem that I see every semester. Kindly watch it out. Do not try to, even the intention to overdo it will stop you from learning other topics. So please exercise caution. All right. Yeah. Sushma Kumari.
Good evening, sir. But I was also in the same doubt that you are frequently asking for practicing questions and doing programming for 1.5 and 2 hours. So from where should we start practicing and like?
No, again, it's the same question. So Sushma, you have to practice. We are going to give you a lot of questions. Karthik, are you around? Can we together address this question? Because we generally get this a lot of times. And see, please don't mistake me. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone by saying that you people are asking the same question. I have the same answer. No, the point is we have seen people who ask these kind of questions and end up sailing in that ocean of confusion throughout. They do not understand that this course is not just about programming. Let me tell you. Programming is as routine as cleaning my room. Routine means it's easy. It's not very difficult. Okay. What is a non-routine here? What is sort of what expects some intellectual ability, sort of a sixth sense in learning in subjects in sciences, is one's ability to analyze data. That is brand new in the world right now. Even the world doesn't seem to understand that really well. Right. So we want more and more trained people, especially in India, to understand data well. Okay. And I see that future in the eyes of the students over here of all age groups. You must become data science literate. People have overtaxed us by saying programming skills, learn that, learn this, go through this website, learn this new language, that new language. Ultimately, we'll end up doing nothing. And I have observed this. I have seen numbers. You can challenge me by saying that I am going to throw this bottle, it will not break. I will tell you, if I'm not bragging, but I have seen 1,000 bottles break like this. You have said 1,001th bottle will not break. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, let me not exaggerate here. Let us not worry much about questions at the level of how do I improve. I think we have addressed that. Okay. If the moment I realize it's in the how do I improve category, I will sideline the question and address it later in the interest of the entire classroom, because I'm sure there are many other interesting questions ahead. Okay, good. Go ahead. Let's address Ashwin now.
I think, sir, you forgot me.
Yeah, go ahead. Whoever I forgot. Mohammed?
Yeah, yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Yes,
please
sir.
go ahead. Please go
Good
ahead.
Evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, my question is, in college, they are teaching me object-oriented programming via C++ and data structure. And I'm asking that you are teaching Python. So maybe will I get confused that I am learning two languages at the same time?
Okay, so in my schools, now it's a good question. We get confused with what to learn. The point is you have joined this BSc degree, which has a separate theme. The college has a separate theme. Okay, if you were to be my son, I would impose yet another theme on you, right? So my dad and mom, they come from different states. They speak different languages. They of course tried imposing their language preferences on me, but ultimately, what one should learn is the skills underlying talking. The articulation skills have less to do with the language. Of course, you need good vocabulary, good ability to make sentences, use the right idioms, phrases, and whatnot. But then ideally, it comes down to your ability to articulate, and that comes with practice. Please learn C++ there. Please learn Python here. I think they go hand in hand, although someone said it's confusing, and I'll second that person. With little bit of effort, it doesn't clash so much. Okay. We will be teaching OOPS in Python also. OOPS is a spectacular concept. All right. If it's taught the right way, you will love it like anything. In this connection, I must iterate on one thing that I keep saying. I don't like thermodynamics for two reasons. One is the way it was taught to me. Second is the person who taught me. All right. He was not very inspired with the subject. He taught me the boring way, and the textbook was even more boring. For a lifetime, I'm discouraged with thermodynamics. That can happen with a concept. So you must see the right source from where you learn and right person from where you learn. We have put forth extra efforts to ensure that it reaches you in easy pieces. Of course, I'm yet to record videos on OOPS, which I'll be doing, but the instructors and the professor together will ensure that you get a good glimpse of what is OOPS, not just board chalk learning of theoretical. Most of the subjects that are taught today are taught using chalk and board, which is good. But not for programming languages. Programming languages is best taught with a keyboard. One should get a keyboard, type the code, ask a question, and show it to them in easy pieces. Right? That's what we're going to do. Again, I repeat, confusion between this programming language and that programming language shouldn't be a problem. You have joined this BSc degree owing to the possibility that you can have a parallel track with whatever track you're doing already in case you're a fresher. All right. In my humble opinion, you will not face any problems. If you face any problems, please talk to us. Okay, super. So Ashwin next.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, good evening,
I
sir.
have one more question. I'll make it quick.
Yeah, Ashwin, go on.
Okay, sir. What should I expect?
Mohammed, you had another question. I'm sorry. Go on, Mohammed.
So what should I expect from this 12 weeks? Will I be able to work on any small project after this completion of this 12-week course?
Okay, so these questions about what will happen after this course, we'll take it at the fag end of the course. Again, I didn't mean to discourage you people. A lot of questions are about what do I do after this. Very less do we ask about what do I do right now. Okay, first thing that you should do is if you don't know typing, go learn typing. Okay, these things are not told and you will realize it sooner or later in your life. Learn typing, number one. Number two, take up as many problems as possible and try to think programmatically. Okay, do 200 hours of coding and then come to me and ask me what next. I will tell you what next. Okay, right now when you're learning ABCDs, if I worry about Shakespeare's Hamlet, I'll be confusing both myself and my teacher. Right, so don't worry about projects, etc., etc. Just learn how to code. We are going to challenge you with a lot of questions. The instructors have designed non-trivial questions for you to code. Code all of them. If you find them very trivial, talk to us. We'll give you non-trivial stuff. Start there and projects come later. Okay. Yeah, of course, there are some students from your senior batch who are working with me. They're doing some good projects and they're very promising. I really like them. And all of them, not even singling out even one person, I think none of them worried about projects until the completion of their Python course. And they're doing extremely well today. I'm very proud to say that a couple of GitHub repositories, they are populating it twice a day, that much of coding and coding very confidently because their basics are in place. So let's concentrate more on that in all your interests. Okay. Yeah. Next, Ashwin or Ashik, one of you. Yeah, Ashwin.
Sir, Ashwin, sir. Sir, good evening, sir. Sir, I am right now doing a BTech, sir, second year. They are giving tons of code to write, sir, in name of observation. Is it healthy, sir?
No. So Ashwin, yeah, Ashwin, no, this is a very tricky question to answer because me as an instructor, I have also given a lot of questions to a particular class of people. But here being a professor of this course within IITM, within Python, it probably becomes a perspective question to answer. I don't want to take, there is no absolute right in the world. We all know that, right? Each one to himself, different strokes for different folks. Maybe that professor thinks that it works for his kind of students. If you have complaints, I think we should have an open forum where we can talk to the teacher. At least I can tell you, I will have that open forum with you people. In case you have any difficulty, you can always come and talk to me. We will resolve it positively. Of course, through the instructors. Instructors are the first people to be spoken to. And how am I not talking about the forum here? Most of your questions have answers on the forum. All right, be active on the forum. You will get questions. There are so many things that I learned the last time. I was active only for a week or two on the forum last run of the course, and I did learn quite a bit. There are some really super good people over there trying to munch and crunch every single question which comes their way. So please be there on the forum and try to ask your questions. try to seek help. I think that's the best way to go about. And perspectives and how to go about something, is this right or wrong? I would say, although it's an innocent question, I'm not saying the question should not be asked or I don't have an answer. It's best avoided to discuss that in this setup. Ashwin, don't worry, I can personally talk to you about it sometime. Okay, and if you need some help, I can even give you some pointers.
Yes, sir. Sir, another question, sir. You have said that typing is very healthy, fast typewriting, learn typewriting. Where can I learn it, sir?
No, Google for how do I learn typing? You will get 1 million hits. Choose one of them. And again, I'm not ridiculing you. There are actually so many portals out there to learn typing, but the easiest way is, I would say there are a couple of books. Maybe I can send across the reference. I'm an old school guy. I learned it using a typewriter. So I do not know. But today there are typeracer.com is a nice way to learn typing by, racing. There are some games which incentivize it. And also typelearn.com or learntyping.com, something, one of them. Just see which one is what, and then go to a forum and then check who is talking about what website, and you are through. But ideally, the idea is to learn one finger at a time. You should be able to strike the letter without seeing it. People may call me a fool for saying learn typing in a programming class, but you will not realize its importance until you start using it, start seeing it in play. Anyways, next question, Ashik.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, sir. I presume that the CT course in this program was analysis of codes and just an introduction to programming world. And now it is our time to practically do coding and analysis of code. So what I feel that analysis of code is also as much as importance of coding. So shall we do both the things together, or only coding is our motive for this course?
No, you people are doing CP parallelly, is it?
CP, no, sir.
Karthik, are you there?
Yeah, sir. No, CT, all of them here
CT we have completed.
Completed, all of you have completed. Anyway, Ashik, you're trying to ask CT and discourse, the relationship and the approach, right? I think that's a very good question. After a long time, I have heard a syllabus, subject, course, program related question. I think that's what you guys should do right now. Try to see how things that you're learning this side, that side can sort of interconnect, and what kind of a skill set is expected out of you. Computational thinking, after this, Karthik, I think you can also address this question. Being a TA of the computational thinking course. The course motive was to make you think how to write an organized way of coding without worrying much about syntax. There you don't have C, C++, Java, COBOL, Pascal, Python, Ruby on Rails, etc., right? So you only have, here is a question, how do you solve it? Okay, the professor takes up the train example, subject marks example, and asks a few questions, and then introduces you to dictionaries, introduces you to birthday paradox, right? Very fascinating natural phenomena that happens, right? So computational thinking has less to do with computers per se. The astronomy example I gave you, that was the introduction. It will get you warmed up and ready to appreciate programming in general and go beyond it. You have a problem, how do you think programmatically? Thinking is different from coding. Thinking part CT handles, actual coding part we handle. In fact, we will illustrate that. We are even taking some examples from CT course and trying to implement them here. All right, a good question. You may have to revisit CT course and try to link that with the Python course right now. Okay, that's the way to give your best for both the program as well as this particular course. Okay, next question. Ashwin is done. Ashik is done.
Thank you, sir.
Srinivas? Yeah, welcome, Ashik. Srinivas?
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, I'm a working professional and I do not belong to the programming world. So I was very worried when I started this course. So as the instructor, suppose we classify the learners in 3 brackets as intermediate or just beginning and some expert. As the instructor, what is your expectation at the end of the course key? What will be the path?
Very nice question. I was expecting such questions mainly. Good, very good, Srinivas. Nice question. So yeah, we generally, finish it.
Yeah. And since I was very worried from the beginning, so in addition to the 200-hour rule, I have 100,000 lines of code of rule. So I was trying to मतलब write 100,000 lines instead of the in addition to the 200 hours rule. So this approach, to can you elaborate on it? Getting the practice done.
Okay. See, 100,000 line of code, I do not know where that comes from. 200-hour rule comes from my own desk of having seen several thousands of students graduate from the past 2 decades. I feel roughly this is an estimate. This is the average. It has a huge standard deviation probably. Okay. Roughly people who spend this much of time, 10 hours a week for the next 20 weeks, something like that, they do pretty well. When I ask them what led you to this much of expertise in programming, you're very confident of what you do, whatever I say, you're able to code, they would say, I kept practicing, sir. And how much did you practice? They would say roughly this number. Okay, but more the merrier. There's also this 10,000 hour rule. You can look at the book Outliers, right? They even say Bill Gates practiced for 10,000 hours to sharpen his skills. Anyway, we do not know the exact number, but still, the psychology research says 10,000 hours is required to master an instrument, etc., etc. But then for programming, just to get going with confidence, not to participate in programming Olympics, right? 200 hours should be more than enough. Okay. That said, addressing your previous question, which I really liked, which was beginner, intermediate, and advanced, I think you all should classify yourself into one of these buckets. Don't tell us this. Don't try to think that one is inferior than the other, superior than the other, etc. But you classify yourself into, am I a bare beginner who is not comfortable writing a piece of code running through a couple of lines? Right? Then you're a beginner. Intermediate is you have tried running some code and executing them, but you're not confident of doing any code in this course. Okay. That is intermediate. And advanced is you think you're wasting your time doing this course because it's all very simple. It's a cakewalk for you. Then you're advanced. If you're advanced, please talk to us. We have some challenging questions. No matter how much you learn, there's always a question for you to understand. Right? On this side, if you're bare beginner, you're struggling, you must understand that you must get used to struggling. The idea of programming is you should write a piece of code and not get stressed when it throws up errors. You should write a piece of code starting from nowhere, knowing that you're from nowhere and you're getting to go somewhere incrementally, one step at a time. That's a skill. It's not very easy. Okay. So let's say when an infant cries, a newborn cries, you need to have that skill set to stay patient and then address what is the concern. Or if you have a patient and you're a nurse, right, you should know what the patient is expecting. That's a skill that comes with time, and to not get stressed on emergency situation, right? So these things I think will take time. Don't worry if you have work experience where you have not coded, you will have some knack for what is what, at least. So you can pick up really well. In fact, programming is very easy, very trivial. We make it complicated by hearing a lot of inputs from a lot of friends. I see, I recently addressed a bunch of MBAs, economics graduates, political science graduates, postgraduates, and stuff like that. People were from varied backgrounds, so varied that I've never seen a spectrum like this. No two people were from the same background. Okay, but very slowly, they're very modest. They don't look into all this, what website should I take up for placement? They'll say, I need programming to understand data sciences, which is hot and happening in the world. So let me learn the bare essentials. And they all did very well. Trust me, majority of them did much better than a typical CS graduate who gets confused, boggled down with details and competitive coding and that's website, this website, I should take this thick a book and finish all of it, and doesn't do anything. So the 3 parts that I told you and 200-hour rule, please follow it. I have been repetitively. I think you can summarize the entire session today as he just spoke about 200-hour rule again and again and again. If someone asks you, please say it because it's important. Right? Okay. So I don't think it's a problem, if I'm not wrong, Shubham, who asked this question. I think you will do well. WorkX matters whether or not, whether you are in a programming environment or somewhere else. So 200 hours to begin with, and several lakhs and few million lines of code if need be, if time permits, henceforth. But mostly programming skills are mainly, yes, with the terminal, one thing. Second thing is most of the planning happens outside the terminal. We will teach that to you when time comes. Okay, when we reach modular approach to programming, we'll tell you how it is easy for you to write down the ideas, think about it, and then convert that to code, then do everything on the screen. right? So most of it happens in your mind, most of it happens on a sheet of paper, and coding is just converting that to, it's just letters of a poet. A poem originates in the poet's mind more than on the paper and pen, you see. Okay, I hope I have addressed the question. Samit and Mohit.
Sir, Shomit here. So
Yeah,
once it's maybe look like a silly question, but still I am asking. I actually set an internal benchmark to me whether I have learned this Python course rightly or not. I set the target that whatever I learned in CT, all those problems, if I able to do it at least 2 different way and run it in Python successfully, then I set myself ki, yes, I learned at least something. I developed some skill on Python.
Okay.
Am I thinking in right way, sir?
Actually, no.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. Samit, don't mind. Let's get into a conversational mode. Okay. Again, I didn't mean to reverse attack here, but I'm just trying to ask, why would you set up such a benchmark? Any reason why you would say whatever I learn in CT, if I'm able to implement, I'm better off with coding? Any reason why you would think of something?
Actually in CT, that is what you were just explained. This is it is a thinking part of the programming side.
Wait. You can always convert what is given in CT into Python as a hobby project. Okay, I even said it is important, but that's the be of all end of all, and that if I can do it, that will be a check on my programming skills. Is also a nice pastime. Fine, but should we also understand the why of programming, the why of Python, the why of CT? Okay, the ultimate aim is not to make you people programmers. That's very easy. I mean, that's a skill that comes with practice. Ideal aim is to make you people think like a data scientist. At least that is what the world requires today, and that's what the program is after. That's what the world is after. Okay, in my humble opinion, what is happening in Afghanistan is basically because they are not data science advanced. If they were data science advanced, probably it would be easy for them to, my little understanding and my little intelligence says, if the vision technology they had used state of the art, and if they had used statistical analysis state of the art, I think they could have at least postponed the trouble that they're facing right now, right? So India requires that our war tomorrow will be data scientific, if not anything. It will not be weapony, it will be data scientific, right? So we need many people who can learn data sciences. Python is a part of this data science. A small part, trust me, a very small part. The bigger chunk is your ability to take data, model it, think about a problem, and then convert it to a program. I'll give you an example. There was a time in 1980s, it seems, my dad would say, there would be workshops, 1-day workshop on how to use a calculator. I repeat, 1-day workshop on how to use calculators. You will laugh it off if I even quote this as an anecdote in today's world. And the calculator he use nahi karte hain hum. It's an app, one of the many apps on the mobile, and you're talking about calculator ke liye ek pura din ka workshop, right? It sounds ridiculous, but back then that was the trend. People did not know; they had never touched a calculator. They wouldn't know what is clearing, what is addition, what is subtraction, and stuff like that. There were workshops conducted to teach how to use a Nokia phone in the early 2000s. I have seen such workshops happen in my own city, right? Today it doesn't happen. Today programming has advanced so much that it's actually not so difficult for anybody to acquire that skill. Just that you need to acquire it to learn data sciences better. But what is non-trivial for you people, okay, is to understand what is law of large numbers. You take random variables and then add them. What happens to it? Goes outside your, over the head, right? That is very important. When you see statistics, when you let's say take stock market data of India, let's say Sensex starting from the 80s till date, to make sense out of this little data, get the best of the best programmer, he will just blink or stare at the data. He will not know what to do with it. He will have all certificates, but he will have no clue what to do with it unless he understands the basics of what is called the time series analysis. But again, we overdo the math thing and then teach you people a lot of formula, but not give you the relevance. But if you understand the relevance of what is what in the math, that is that you will encounter henceforth. Of course, it will start from now onwards. You have fantastic professors and instructors for these courses. It has been a success in the past. I'm sure there has not been a organized effort towards teaching data sciences this well, in this very well organized chunks and pieces. So you are in the best place. You have the best people to teach. You should learn, have a holistic approach to learning, not just focus, zoom in on one thing and then say, I am going to beat it to death and I'm going to ensure that this comes and sits inside my skull for a lifetime. That's not required. How important is a programmer who knows everything of Python? I don't want him. I know someone who can look up something and then is confident of modeling what is what and writing a piece of code. Again, I don't mean to overdo the reiteration of why isn't it very important to overdo programming skills. I'm just saying we end up wasting a lot of our time, getting a lot of adding a lot of confusions in our mind, not required. Okay, so I hope I addressed the question. Yeah, go ahead, Samit.
Just one further clarification. Then I just want to know what you say. Initially, I also thought the data analysis part, one must understand the data set, how it is behaving. Then, sir, I just ask you, then why do we have from diploma and degree two different stream? One is data science and another is program. Is it means and or means if I want to know how data speaks and behave, then should I concentrate on programming part also?
No, it all depends on what you want to do later. There's a popular story called the Alice in Wonderland. You know, the Alice, the character comes there. Rabbit is sitting on the tree, and the rabbit asks, "What are you doing?" Alice says, "I want to go. There are these two roads. Which road should I take?" The rabbit says, "What do you want to do? Where do you want to reach?" Alice says, "I don't know." Then the rabbit says, "It doesn't matter. You can take any of these roads." Similarly, if your destination is clear, we probably can think of which stream is right. I actually have I must confess my ignorance here. I do not know what happens in the application route and the other 2-3 probably routes, which I think the office will be able to give you people more details. I'm concentrating more on the bare essentials of programming that will help you in data sciences in particular, and also in application development if you want to take a different route. Bare essentials of programming and computational thinking is constant. That's why they call it the core courses. Even for your certificate, they say you must finish the core courses, which I think, if I'm not wrong, also includes your statistics. All right, more details maybe you can talk to me later, but I think there's no point worrying much about sharpening skills beyond doing it the course style. Okay, I know I'm telling it again with experience. Seen a lot of people. I mean, I'm tired, seriously, looking at many people. No, I'm not talking. I'm talking about you, Samit. In general, I'm talking many people worrying. They continue worrying for the entire semester, and it becomes an entire program. And when placement time comes, they do something else and end up not knowing anything at the end. And the whole purpose of teaching them the joys of programming. You know how enjoyable programming is. Take a question, write a piece of code, see the output. You have that wow moment. You must face, when I say 200 hours, you must face at least, you must hit a century of those wow moments. Without that, we are always stressed about what to do next, what to do next. It's about, you have so many things on the plate, you don't enjoy any dish given. You only worry about what to do after having food, right? So I think this can be avoided. We can enjoy more of those joyous moments. We are here to help you see those joyous islands in this course. Okay. Yeah, we'll go with the next question. I would give preference for people who have not asked question to ask question. And if there is nobody else who's a fresher, then I can go ahead with repetitions. I see Anil, Rajneesh, Mohit, you haven't asked me any question. Please.
Hi, sir. Mohit here.
Yeah. Go on.
Hello. Yeah. So my question is, basically, I'm a working professional and I use Python for 1 or 2 hours in my daily work. So on oftentimes, what my tendencies are like when I try to write a piece of script, I use scripting. I mean, I do scripting, simple automation scripts that I write. So my tendencies are to write a more efficient code a lot of time, and I tend to spend more time in writing a more efficient code, which uses less data and less to do with the job done. Like I can get the job done in 1 hour, but I'll probably be spending half an hour or 45 minutes more to get the same job done in a more efficient manner. So would this approach any helpful in an overall grand scheme of things, or I should just be focusing on getting the job done?
I think someone else also asked me the similar question. Mohit, let me paraphrase just to ensure that I've got the question right. Should I also worry about the efficiency of my code and not just write lines and lines of code is what you're asking, right?
Exactly. I mean,
okay. So the science of coding exhausts whatever is known so far about efficiency in coding. Okay, and the upcoming subjects will teach you in and out, left, right, center of this efficient coding, analyzing how efficient your code is. There are times when you should not start coding at all because you know very well your code will not be efficient. It's sometimes your code will not stop. Your pen and paper work will tell you that you may not want to code, or you have an estimate that if I write a code, it will take 2 days time. I cannot expect results before these 2 days. A knack for how much time your code will take, how to make it efficient, the maximum possible efficiency you can achieve, seemingly maximum, will all be covered. And that's an important skill set to learn. That's why I keep saying that don't concentrate more on simple coding skills alone. Tuna does is enough. There's a world beyond this. There's a world beyond coding. Concentrate more on that. It's a good question, Mohit. In your work environment, I'm not so sure because work environment can mean anything. I can use a piece of Python code to either come out with a solution for our COVID problem, or I can write a piece of code to end the world. Right? I'm not exaggerating. Coding is that powerful today. Right? So we can write a simple piece of code that will go and destroy all the, of course, it's not possible. Probably with a lot of effort, it's possible to write a piece of code that will destroy the systems in the entire world. We should not be doing it. We should rather be writing code which will prevent such code from coming. Prevent such sort of so-called viruses, Trojan horses from getting activated, right? A piece of code can be used in multitude places. It depends on why am I writing this piece of code. Okay, how good one should be in coding again boils down to coding happens mostly outside your compiler, outside your integrated development environment. It happens in your mind. It happens on a book and pen. We will illustrate that seemingly very. I'll give you a simple question. How to find a maximum element in a list? Pretty easy. How to find the second largest element in a list? Also easy. How do you find the kth largest element in the list? I can bet a big money. Nobody here would know in and out of this problem. With a very high probability, I will win if I say that none of you, firstly, it's tough to understand the question. If you understand the question, you would have solved it. You will tell me, I have a code already. I see here is the code, it solves it. If I ask you 2 more questions on how the code works, how sure are you that this is the efficient most way? You may not be able to answer it. Okay. How to find median of elements in the list becomes difficult. Something that starts with maximum element to second max element to third max element to kth largest element becomes a non-trivial question, which can only be solved, I repeat, only be solved with a pen and paper more than sitting with a compiler and then fighting with it and trying all possibilities. Okay, we'll illustrate that in one of our coding assignments. Maybe Karthik, you should remind me probably to work on this kth element problem, which I think we have discussed already. We will include that in this run. Okay, so yeah, next question. Anything else? Any other question that we have not covered so far? Anything that doesn't belong to this class of how do I improve? Yeah, Rajnish and Anil. Rajnish, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Sir, may I ask in Hindi?
Sure.
सर मैं रिपीटर हूँ सर, क्योंकि कॉलेज मेरे 3rd ईयर के एग्जाम के चलते मैंने 2 क्विज छोड़ दिए थे पिछले टर्म में। तो सर मैं रिपीट कर रहा हूँ सर, मुझे सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम हुई थी रिकर्सन में, और मतलब जहाँ पे फ्लैग रेस किया जाता है सर वहां पे। तो सर
क्या रेस किया जा रहा है? फ्लैग
सर, जैसे फ्लैग इक्वल टू 0 एंड देन वी प्रोसीड फर्दर।
Okay, so Rajnish is, I'll just translate it for people who may not have understood what he said. Rajnish is trying to say that he's finding it difficult in places where we use this flag variable, whatever that means. We need not use it as flag. We can make it even more meaningful, but we generally don't. And second is recursion. Rajnish, पहले आपको हिंदी में मैं जवाब दूंगा, उसके बाद उसको इंग्लिश में
I can understand in
English. So recursion we cover in depth in our in one of the upcoming weeks, maybe 4th week or 5th week, if I'm not wrong, right? In depth with the right examples and things like that. So don't worry, you will learn the best from the videos, and we are always there. Instructors are very well versed. They're very nice, very strong in coding, especially with all these bare essential basics. So they'll be able to help you people out. I'm very confident that you will not have any problem if you finish the course. But then again, please spend your time, stay put, work towards developing your skill set. Don't get boggled down with a lot of details and do's and don'ts that you get from outside. I think I've overdone it. I'll stop here, meaning on this topic, but we have still more time to go on. I have a few FAQs which I would have loved listening from one of you people. I will address the FAQ. I will pose the question and then I'll answer it. My the favorite questions that one can ask in programming, according to me. Okay, I will pose that. Next, Anil. Yeah, please go.
Sir, sir,
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, Rajnish, please finish fast. Yeah.
Sir, if I am solving any question, okay, and if I do hit and trial, right? If I put, if I write a line of code and it get wrong, and if I again try to put something, is it okay?
Absolutely okay. It is absolutely okay to do a lot of mistakes and then learn. Do a lot of hit and trial and then learn. Please note, Rajnish, the typical flag example itself, जब आप बोल रहे थे मुझे समझ में आया कि आप बहुत programs देख के सीखना लग जाते हो. ये टेक्निक ज्यादा नुकसान ही करेगा, इसका फायदा कुछ नहीं है. By that I mean the idea of seeing a program and trying to understand the logic generally should be discouraged in this teacher's opinion. Again, there's no absolute right. This is my opinion. I feel looking at a piece of code, learning what it does in and out is not required. If it's a beautiful function written and it says what it does, you can use the function. But learning what the function does from scratch and trying to replicate it from scratch is a futile exercise. I at least don't like doing that. I would not even recommend my students to do that. But understand the pseudocode. Take a computational thinking is completely, CT is completely pseudocodes only. Take the idea there, see how the logic works, implement it from scratch. From the top left corner of your editor to the bottom right corner, you write the code and you implement it. Don't see the code and try to replicate it. At least don't try to reverse engineer and understand the logic. That's also another skill, but I would not recommend that, at least in this course. And even beyond that, I don't know, I'm very uncomfortable with it. It's not a skill that one requires. Why do you have to look at someone else with all due respect, leftover food, right? Have your fresh food, do it all by yourself. But use a ready-made package that's available from the market. Take it and then use it. But don't try to overdo the opening and then seeing what they have done and trying to understand logic from there. There are so many better ways to understand logic, right? Okay, so Rajnish, आप एक काम करो, मेरे से बाद में बात करो आप. जितना हो पाएगा उतना मैं हेल्प करूंगा. एक और चीज सुनिए पहले सुनिए. एक और टिप मैं आपको देने वाला हूं, आपको और सबको, जो भी आपका if you have the same problem as Rajnish, it is good to start with a place better than Python. If you're a bare beginner, and that is this tool called Scratch, the same Scratch, SCRATCH. It's available on MIT's website. It's a beautiful cat moving software, as we call it. We cover that in our Joy of Computing course. Just Google for it if you want, take a look at it, or you can start off without seeing any course. It's very easy. So start from there, you will do very well, and then come to Python. Okay. Mainly, I think many people get stressed when they see errors. Stressed when they see big code. This is what happens. If we don't start from chapter 1, if you are boggled down with a lot of do's and don'ts in chapter 1, boom, chapter 6 comes. And you do not know how we reached there. And you're struggling to understand what are the basics. Let this alone. You go to the next semester and they all assume you know programming really well. Right? You have been disturbed by the online portals, YouTube videos, and your friends tip on how to learn programming that you did not learn the course way. Right? These are all dangers. Please be aware of these things. Okay, Rajnish, I think I have addressed your question. आपका कुछ और concerns होगा तो आप एक बार मेरे से बात कीजिए personally.
Sir, how can I connect with you personally?
How can I connect with me? Firstly, talk to your instructors. Okay, and secondly, write to me over email and ask me if you need any help. Look, teachers like helping people who help themselves. Okay, some of the do's and don'ts here is coming and asking, not just you, but anyone for that matter. I don't know this, please teach me. My first question would be, did you make any attempt? All right, there are thousands of resources out there, nice, genuine resources, bare minimum resources. I'm not talking about the tips and tricks resources. I'm talking about the how do you do this kind of resources. Take a look at it. Look at our own videos. If you don't understand, get back to us. We'll be able to help you. Okay. Please do not ask us to reinvent the wheel. It will be a lot of, it is taxing for all of us, right? Including the instructors. By the way, the best resource will be instructors. We as teachers do dime a dozen activities, but instructors are dedicated, focused to do only this. And they're forever helping. Please talk to them. They'll be able to help you. Apart from that, you can email me. I'll also try to help you. In fact, I'll try to see if I can write some code with you people in these live sessions coming ahead. Yeah, Rajnish, I think you have a lot of questions. Please keep it aside. I want to give equal priority to everyone. Let us keep the other questions later if you don't mind. Okay. Anil has raised his hands and his hands are aching.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Anil,
Thank you. Good evening, sir. Good evening. So along with the best instructors, I'm also supplementing the learning by reading Python for everybody. And there is one more book that has been mentioned in the preface, Think Python, How to Think Like a Computer Scientist. So can I read these together or should I read that later? This question has become more pertinent to me because Rajnish has asked about recursion. And this book has categorically said that this is beyond the scope of this book, recursion. Thank you, sir.
I see. That makes it even threatening. Good that you raised this point.
Yes,
that is not true. Recursion is very obvious for the mind. If it's taught the right way, if it is, see, for me to tell you, look, this is beautiful. Without looking, I cannot say, look, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. This hilly view from my window is beautiful. I don't see it. And I say, it's beautiful. You see it. You find it beautiful. I should first see it's beautiful. I should first see the beauty in recursion, the ease with which recursion happens and why we should learn. That should sink into one's mind, not just read a book today and then go and vomit it tomorrow in the class. Okay, I know many teachers might do it out of their ignorance, sheer ignorance or lack of interest, or they are in the profession because they don't like being here. I know there are many, many dedicated teachers out there, but you will find some who will make your life difficult by teaching you a difficult version of otherwise easy question. Recursion is easy. It can be taught easily. It is also important. Okay, first point. Second point is coming to the books that you said. That's an important point that you raised and I need to address this. So guys, I want to learn how to fly a helicopter. I have bought 10 books on how to fly a helicopter. From helicopter to for dummies, assuming there is such a book, there's no such book, I'm sure. Helicopter for dummies to handbook of reference for dummies. Okay, the complete reference for handbook of reference for helicopters, the complete reference for helicopters. Do you think at the end of reading all these books and remembering every single concept taught there, assume I have this eidetic memory, photographic memory, and I learn everything. Do you think I'll be able to fly a helicopter at the end?
No.
Close to impossible. I need, apart from reading is a good way to start. Apart from reading, I need a mentor next door, someone who can help me to tell you the immediate do's and don'ts. Mentor is required. I mean, in our own culture, the guru's importance is being overstressed because that is where you get initiated. You have many gurus out there, instructors and me and many others. Your peers are also kind of gurus for you. First is guru. Second is, of course, practice. Nothing matches practice. Nothing matches you sitting next to an expert and trying to see how he flies the helicopter and you trying it incrementally, taking risks again incrementally and then learning it. There cannot be a better example than this, guys. I think you people should learn the hard way later on that you should have done a lot of programming. So open your eyes right now itself and please understand that you get going with these 200 hours. Make it a point, make your time count, code for 200 hours on anything of your choice. That is enough, more than enough. I'll give you 3 aspects of programming. Just touch these 3 aspects. Nothing else. Okay. Rest, advanced stuff, keep it for advanced part of your life, not for now. All right. This much is more than enough. Concentrate on other things too. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead with other questions. If not, I'll go ahead with my frequently asked question. Thank you, Anil. I am reading also some of the messages here. Okay. I also did not get flag and recursion well. Please note. Yeah. Debas Smith Mohanty, 200 hours in 12 weeks. Again, please do not relate this course to your programming skills that you need to acquire. A little bit of 150 hours during the course and 50 hours after the course is also okay. I will not ask a theory question in your exam saying that, did you finish 200 hours of coding in this run? I will not do that. So no hard and fast rules. If you want to get good at coding, you should basically practice 200 hours. I suppose that answered Deva Smith Mohanty's question. I know you were sort of, yeah, I see a smiley there. I'm sure you were, you didn't mean it in a serious tone. Yeah, so the point is, yeah, it can be difficult in 12 weeks. So take your own time, maximize it, and leftover you can do it later. Repeater, flag, recursion. Again, I repeat, don't see the code. Don't see the code. That will help. Which I have done wrong is not use discourse. Yeah, we'll do this was the main thing which I have done. Yeah, Rajneesh, correct. So you should use discourse, not just you. All of you should use discourse. Okay. Help yourself with the forum often, and the forum has all types of people, from beginners to intermediate to advanced. In fact, me and Karthik will try our level best to classify people in the right buckets, so that when a question is asked, the know-it-all people will not come running and then answer it and say this is trivial. And you know, this first benchers who would be in your high school, they will answer every single question their teacher asks. We wouldn't have even understood the question, they would have an answer for it. They give inferiority complex to the backbenchers like us, right? So what we'll do is we'll ensure that that doesn't happen. We'll categorize them into beginners, intermediate, and advanced. A question when it asked, if it's a beginner's level, we will avoid people who know the answer from coming and then attempting an answer there. Only beginners should answer. Again, it's the conscience that should work here. You must be truthful enough in declaring yourself as what is what and not disturb in a question that is meant for absolute beginners. Okay. Yeah, please go ahead, Advait, Mahesh.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Sir, my question is, whenever there is a question, there are like two options to solve it. One is to do it by your way. I mean, to try it until you get it. And the other way is to look at it, the internet, get the solution and close that matter there and there itself. So whenever we go by the first way, it is not going to work probably for most of the time. That you would not get in the first attempt, then you would go for the second, and you would keep on going until you get it or you don't get it. So until which point should we try the first method, or should we just go by the second one?
Yeah,
so
good.
go on to
There's actually no hard and fast rule. There are two quotes. One quote says, the best taught is the self-taught. The best taught is the self-taught. So you learn all by yourself. Don't look at anything, do the hit and trial way. You have a lot of time in life and things like that. Okay, you can do that, but yeah, no, it's not applicable everywhere. If I want to read up a piece of research, state-of-the-art research in my domain, if I say I will not read this paper, I'll reinvent the wheel, I'll take a long time. There are places where we may have to. There's another quote which says, stand on the shoulder of giants. Isaac Newton said this. The reason why I stand tall is because I stand on the shoulder of giants, which means there are many people who have been giants in this domain. I just go and stand on their shoulders, I'll become a little tall. You may have to do both. Okay, that is where you must have the right ability to judge where should you practice, where should you stand on the shoulder of giants. No hard and fast rule. Do what suits you. Ultimately, it's about knowledge. How you gain is immaterial. Okay, but then knowledge by looking at someone's code can be painful to your eyes and to your brain. That's why I say don't do it. It's again time tested. We have observed that you doing the code is a lot better than looking at someone's code and then replicating it, right? So long story short, quick answer, Advait, right? Advait Mahesh Bapat is, don't worry, do what suits you. But I would generally, this is called the Feynman's principle. Take a look at it. The idea is to try to figure out why is the question important first. Second, what would be my immediate answer to this question? Move around there in that zone for some time of let me figure out what could be the answer. If you cannot get the answer, go Google and then find the answer and then try to understand it. After some time or some days, try to forget the question and the answer and then recollect it. But try to do it all by yourself. And that's called the Feynman's principle. That works really well. Try doing it and each one to himself. It's all about, ultimately, it's about knowing truth at a philosophical level. How you know it is not important. Do you appreciate the truth? Do you have more points about the truth? And it's, you want to understand its ramifications are more important than simply learning the truth, right? Okay, more questions? If not, I think we can go ahead with a couple of FAQs. Shubham, yes?
Yes, sir. Sir, good evening. Sir, what to do when I got stuck at any question or don't get any logic or approach to implement?
They say good students love mysteries, they love not knowing. If you know what I mean. There are situations, especially we give this tip to our PhD students, where PhD is not about a syllabus and exam and stuff like that. It's about, you should find out something that is not known to anyone and then find an answer for it. The fact that it is not known to anyone is because it is very tough to know, probably, right? Similarly speaking, that holds good even for a 4th grade kid. The idea here is to feel comfortable not knowing. Unfortunately, this is not taught in our schools and colleges. Okay, when you struggle, you must enjoy the struggle. When you're stuck somewhere, you must be there and understand why you're stuck. We'll have understanding of why we are stuck. That takes some time. It's not very easy. Sometimes I'm stuck in some problems. Majority of the times, major reason is I don't understand the question well. That's why I get stuck somewhere. Okay, if you understand the question well, generally you don't get stuck. At least you'll get to know what you don't know, right? It's perfectly fine to get stuck. It is perfect. I have so many questions and programs that I write. Sometimes I go nowhere. I'm okay with not knowing. I keep it in my kitty and then get back to it later. Right? Till date, I have some questions about, let's say, some basic matrix related programs. Recently, I was taking a look at. I had no clue what that is. I'm waiting for a good Samaritan to come and teach me what that is all about. So there's always a horizon after which we may not be able to see what is what. The idea is to feel comfortable and to not get discouraged and be clear with what we do not know. All right, that's an important tip. A good question too. Shubham, although I believe I'm not so sure whether I addressed your main concern, but if it's about getting stuck, you must start feeling comfortable getting stuck. Okay, there's no hard and fast rule. There's no one line mantra. If we chant, it releases us from getting stuck. It's about staying there and then fighting through. Okay, yeah. I think the questions would be repetitive from now onwards. I will, the same people, if there are no new questions, we will push Samit. If you have any question, we'll please post it on the chat window. I'll address it later. I have less time. I'll quickly tell you people how to make the best out of the current course. What should you do? Consistently, please watch the videos, code along. Coding along is not watching someone's code and replicating it. Coding along is thinking like the instructor. Sometimes we try to stumble, we try to make errors. Sometimes it is unintentional, sometimes it is intentional to teach you something. Okay, we'll be teaching you a skill there. All right, so please try to code along with us. After coding along, delete that code, recollect the question, try to code all by yourself. Okay, this is the best way to learn this skill sets of programming. The best way. At the end of the course, you will know enough to cruise through the entire program or even beyond. I will say I will recruit you if you can do so much. If you can write all the code that we are going to teach you without looking at the code later. I mean, once you see and then type it, and without recollecting anything, you're able to recreate it. Recreation is different from replication. Recreation is different from memorizing and then vomiting that out. You should be able to recreate by forgetting whatever you have learned. If you can do that, thumbs up, way to go. All right, try doing that and try solving all the questions that we pose. Challenge questions, be active on the forum. Wait for an opportunity to search for a question where you can take and then analyze it. It's simple. You use a smartwatch, let's say your MI watch or your Apple watch or whatever. You these days get it for $1,000 or $2,000. That gives a lot of data. Taking that data, you can ask 10,000 questions on it without any exaggeration. Really thousands of questions you can ask on it. And all those questions are answerable using simple Python scripts. Better even, you have those scripts available already. You can just take them and then run. Right? Programming is so interesting. Right? What time you wake up, how well do you sleep? All the data is stored here. Your mobile phone stores the data of how you walk, how much you walk, right? And how much you sit, how much you sort of stare at the monitor and screen and things like that. You can take that data and then analyze. Or simply speaking, just take a bunch of numbers and see how you can sort. There are so many dozens of ways to sort, each method different from the other. So who says literature is, poem is literary, programming is literary. You see that programming is a lot more deeper than literature if you see it in the right spirit and the right lens. Please enjoy it to its truest spirit. Try to see what is nice about programming than what needs to be learned about programming. That is also important. Also try to see over and beyond what is nice about programming and gear up for what is coming next. Get comfortable with asking a nice question and modeling it using a program. I repeat, learning Python, understanding syntax, etc. is important. That gets covered in 200 hours. But what may not get covered in 200 hours, although I am confident it mostly will, is your ability to model a real life situation as a piece of Python code. Okay, so how do you learn that? It only comes with, again, thinking, practice, discussion, talking to peers and things like that. Do a whole lot of it, please. Okay, so yeah, I liked one of the inputs. So I think Samit or someone said, or Tapan, I don't remember the name. He said that I would like to convert all the code from CT to Python, although I discouraged you by saying that, how do you say the rabbit example and things like that. I didn't mean to discourage you. I just said that this is not BFL and FL, but it's a very good exercise to do. Okay, include that as part of your 200-hour diary, that you take up some of the CT questions and try coding them. And you will fail, you will get stuck, you will stumble, you will feel discouraged, but know that this is all coming up. All right, and cruise through it. All right, take up more questions, get stuck, try answering them. The entire life is about this, right? Trying to understand something we don't understand. Not just you and me, the entire world is after that. COVID, we don't understand. We are trying to understand how to fight COVID, the vaccine way, the precautionary way, or understanding how the virus functions in general, right? We know only so much, we know exactly how much we know. Right, so use these strategies, and I think I have a feeling you will be blessed with good programming ability with time. All right, okay, fine. With this, I think we could stop here. It's time, although I have a few more questions to address. Maybe let's keep something for the upcoming sessions. Okay, maybe I'll take a couple of questions over the chat window. If you have sent me some question. Remember the syntax of Python. You need not, with time, you will remember the syntax of Python. Don't worry at all. 200 hours of coding, has all those things. If you keep traveling in the same bus every day for the next 10, 20 days, you will remember the route. You will know where the bus stops, how the driver takes a turn, and where is the hump, and where is the whatever pothole and things like that on our Indian roads. So don't be at all. You will learn all of that. So finding difficult to unlearn C syntax while writing the Python program. Raj Mowgli, I don't think so. It's very easy. It comes with practice. I am also I have used C++ for a long time in my life, but I don't think it comes. It's confusing. In fact, once you start writing Python code, you will not feel like going back to any other place because it's so comfortable, so nice, and so easy. My email ID, you will get it online, but I'll also type SRS Iyengar at at youronlinedegree.iitm.ac.in. All right. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. It was an eye-opener in many, many ways. I'm so sorry. There's one thing that I must tell you. I didn't mean to discourage you all by saying no to questions on how do I sharpen the coding. I really wanted to help you put a warning bell into your minds, not to overdo it. The idea is to enjoy see it more like an excursion. You have come to a beautiful place, an exotic vacation spot. Don't be boggled down with what are the best way to enjoy this place, what all should I learn, what all should I see, etc. Okay, let it happen slowly. Use some of the major strategies like spend enough time, ask enough questions, feel comfortable not knowing, feel comfortable getting stuck. That should be more than enough. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all. That should pretty much make it discussion meeting today. Anything else you can always write to me. Okay, I have a feeling me and Karthik are yet to decide. Every Monday evening we'll have this live session. Today I spoke a lot, did not change my camera view, but I'll have an iPad view, iPad plus cam view like this, a desktop view like this, a smaller view like this, and desktop plus cam view like this, which means we'll be doing a lot of programming, and I'll be toggling between the camera views. I'll not just be talking, but I'll be typing a lot. Okay, so excuse me only for the first session. You will see a lot of programming activities coming up very interesting ones, at least. That much I can guarantee you in the forthcoming weeks. Thank you all very much. Mark your calendars for Monday evening. Try your level best to be there. It matters to be in the live session than in the recorded session. Who will watch 2 hours of recording? I myself don't watch my own videos. I've never watched one, by the way. So I don't want you to watch also. Be there for the live sessions. Anything else, Karthik, that we need to address? Or you need to address? You can carry on now.
No, sir. No. That's it. We can close.
Okay, so we'll wind up then. Thank you all very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone. Karthik, if you're around, just stay back.
Thank you, sir.
We'll talk for a minute. And
Thank you, sir.
thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.